So in 2023, we're all too familiar with the concept of shared universes, and in many cases people are outright sick of them. What was once an exciting prospect in nerd culture has now become commonplace, and now people are wanting to go back to the good old days of self-contained stories that were focused solely on the more immediate present, rather than setting up a story that might or might not happen in the next decade. But oftentimes these older self-contained stories had smaller Easter eggs that hinted at some form of a larger universe, some getting as big as being narratively relevant and actually playing a part in the overarching story. And of course, if you know anything about me, this is just a sloppy segue to discuss Pirates of the Caribbean. Yeah, today I'm going to be covering the weird Easter eggs in the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise that ties it to other media. Some obvious, some very, very much less obvious. And some that'll make you think I'm on drugs. Starting off pretty easy here, most of you should be aware of the Pirates of the Caribbean crossover with Sea of Thieves. Basically, after the fifth film undermined all the previous films and revived Davy Jones, he chased Jack into the Sea of Thieves because Jack stole an artifact of his and fled there. Jones quickly sunk the Pearl, killed Jack, and tried to establish a foothold there. If you're familiar with this channel, you'll know that I covered this particular story in detail before, so I won't go into it here. Did you know that the former cursed crew of the Black Pearl actually managed to escape the Royal Navy, found their way back to Isla de Muerta, and got cursed again? Did you also know that Will and Elizabeth had a bunch of encounters with Jack before Dead Man's Chest? Yeah, this is part of the Pirates of the Caribbean canon that gets really weird, admittedly. Honestly, I don't see how this could exist within the canon or still be considered canon, considering the context established by the immediate next film, but I digress. Did you know that Treasure Island is canon to Pirates of the Caribbean? So in Dead Man's Chest, actually let's take a look at the name for a minute. The term Dead Man's Chest actually comes from the fictional shanty from Treasure Island, a shanty that Mr. Gibbs sings in the film.
50 men on the dead man's chest. Hey-o, ho-ho, and a bottle of rum.
Not only this, but the black spot also makes an appearance. Although, unlike how it's portrayed in Treasure Island as a black circle on a piece of paper, instead it's a growth that forms on a victim's hand. Maybe other notable pirates wanted to mimic Davy Jones with their own take on the black spot. They'd probably have to improvise given that Jones is an eldritch sea god. And finally, the coolest connection to Treasure Island is one involving a character you probably didn't think much of. When Weatherby Swann broke Elizabeth out of jail, he told her that he arranged passage to London from an old friend, who's a ship captain. Once they approached the docks, Weatherby saw the captain was murdered by Ian Mercer. This man is supposed to be Captain Hawkins, father of Jim Hawkins, and this is supposed to be an explanation for why Jim's father wasn't in his life. Did you also know that Captain Hook is part of the Pirates of the Caribbean universe? So some of my older subscribers might remember that I made a video theorizing how Peter Pan might eventually be added to Sea of Thieves. Well, since then we haven't gotten a Peter Pan crossover, but rather a Monkey Island crossover. But I did find something else. In the Pirates of the Caribbean prequel novel, The Price of Freedom, it's confirmed that James Hook is canon to the series. James was a well-known pirate, even being talked about by members of the Brethren Court, even being good personal friends with Don Raphael, the former pirate lord of the Caribbean. At some point, he vanished without a trace, and many assume that he had been killed on a voyage, but he returned having not aged a single day, and having a hook for a hand, and having an irrational fear of children. At some point, he sailed through the Indian Ocean. He found a half-dead sailor who told him of a ship that flew a red flag and destroyed his vessel with no quarter. James then sailed to Portugal, where he then told Don Raphael of his experience, and that's sadly all the information we have on him. Maybe the island that contains the Fountain of Youth is Neverland? I mean, it does have mermaids and properties that do impact the state of life and death for an individual. Nah, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to look that deep into a glorified Easter egg. Did you know that Pirates of the Caribbean and Indiana Jones technically inhabit the same universe? Centuries after the war against piracy in the 20th century, an ocean explorer and treasure hunter named Captain Mary Oceaneer came into possession of the Dead Man's Chest, also excavating Shipwreck Island and finding the ruins of Shipwreck Cove. Along with Shipwreck, Oceaneer excavated the long-since sunken island of Isla de Muerta. Reclaimed by the sea not long after the curse of the Aztec gold was lifted from the crew of the Black Pearl. Now, how does Indiana Jones tie into all this? Well, in Raiders of the Lost Ark, Indiana Jones is good friends with an expert pilot named Jock Lindsay. The two went on many adventures together, and Jock was a prolific adventurer in his own right. At an unknown point, Jock became a member of the Society of Explorers and Adventurers, a secret society of various historians, scientists, and innovators that had influenced global politics and changed history forever. Mary Oceaneer was a member of the society all through the early to mid-20th century, and Jock became a member at some point after the 1930s. You can all rest assured that I'll make dedicated videos on the Society of Explorers and Adventurers in the future. Thank you all so much for watching. I know this is a bit of a shorter video, but I do intend on making more videos like this covering the weirder elements of Pirates of the Caribbean, so I didn't really want to run out of material in one big video. Leave a comment down below if you know any other weird stuff in the Pirates of the Caribbean universe, or let me know what you think is the coolest fact here. If you'd like to support my channel, feel free to check out my Patreon page or my YouTube membership page. Since I'm a stingy old pirate, I'd love if you shared your hard-earned gold with this old sea dog. You get your name listed here among these fine gentlemen. Also, if you'd like to chat one-on-one with me, feel free to join my Discord server. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you all have a great day.